The Cactus. Written by Sarah Haywood. Read for you by Katherine Manners. August. 1. I'm not a woman who bears grudges, broods over disagreements, or questions other people's motives. Neither do I feel compelled to win an argument at any cost. As with all rules, of course, there are exceptions. I won't stand idly by while one person's being exploited by another, and the same goes when I'm the one being exploited. I'll do everything within my means to ensure that justice prevails. Not surprisingly, then, the events that have unfolded this month have left me with no choice but to take immediate and decisive action. It was my brother Edward who informed me that her mother had died. Although it was only 5:30, I was already awake. I'd just been hovering over the toilet bowl, wondering whether I should make myself vomit or endure the nausea. Vomiting relieves the feeling for a few minutes, but it soon comes back. So, having carried out a cost-benefit analysis, I decided endurance was the best option. While I was examining my bilious reflection, the phone trilled from the kitchen. So few people ring my landline that I sensed immediately that it must be an emergency relating to my mother. It turned out, however, that it was not an emergency. In fact, there was no reason why my brother should have called so early other than to catch me off guard. "Suze, it's me, Ed. I've got some news, and it's not good. You might want to sit down." "What's happened?" "I don't know how to say this, Suze. I'm afraid—" "Edward, get a grip. Is she in hospital?" "Suze, she's gone. She passed away last night. I didn't get in until about 2. I was at a mate's house having a few beers. Her bedroom light was still on, so I knocked and stuck my head round the door. I could tell straight off from the way she was slumped. The GP's been massive stroke, she said. I can't believe it." I gulped back the surge in my throat and sat down at the kitchen table. I took a moment to sweep a few stray toast crumbs into a pile with the side of my hand. "Suze? Suze?" "She was 78, I said eventually, "and she had already had 2 strokes. It's not exactly unexpected." I hesitated. I was aware that I should say something sympathetic, but it didn't come naturally to me when my brother was concerned. "I understand it must have been unpleasant to find her, though," I added. "Sorry, I haven't got time to talk now. I need to get ready for work. I'll phone later. And Edward—" "Yes, Suze?" "Please don't call me Suze." I didn't expect to find myself orphaned at 45, an age at which most people still have both parents, but my mother and father were into their 30s when I was born, and my father had a certain weakness of character which cut short his life. I didn't see my mother as often as I should have in her final years. I'm a civil servant, working on project delivery, analysing reams of complex data and producing in-depth reports on performance, and I find that when I'm not spending long hours wrestling with large numbers and small print, I'm running just to stand still. Another reason for the infrequency of my visits was that Edward was living with my mother yet again, and he and I don't, to put it nicely, share the same outlook on life. In fact, we go well out of our way to avoid each other. My brother is only 2 years my junior in age, but at least 30 years my junior in emotional and psychological development, which in his case ceased in his teens. Not, I should add, because he has any sort of diagnosable mental condition, but because he's weak-willed and self-indulgent. While I've worked hard to establish a secure career and stable lifestyle, Edward staggered from useless job to meaningless relationship to seedy flat. No surprise, then, that he ended up crawling back to my mother in his 40s. It's a shock to be told that a close relative has died, even when they were old and had been unwell, and I found that I needed to spend several minutes sitting quietly and gathering my thoughts. As I was in London, though, and my mother's body was in Birmingham, there was little of any practical use for me to do. I therefore decided to go to work and carry on as normal, or as normal as I could fake with this relentless nausea. I wouldn't tell anyone at the office of my mother's death. I could imagine the orgy of fussing and sighing.